For a while, Sarah Ferguson seemed unbeatable. She always managed to return to the spotlight, regardless of the number of scandals, debt issues, embarrassing headlines, or public humiliations that befell her. There would be more interviews, books, TV appearances, and pictures of her smiling, as if nothing could really affect her. That tenacity remained ingrained in her persona for many years. Despite her messiness, controversy, and unpredictability, she managed to stay upright. However, the current perception of the former Duchess of York is rather different. According to recent reports, Sarah is no longer leading the kind of life that people used to associate with opulent London apartments, glitzy gatherings, or royal connections. Rather, she is reportedly traveling covertly from one private residence to another, relying on affluent friends for lodging, and making every effort to stay out of the spotlight. There are allegations that she has traveled to Dubai, Switzerland, Ireland, and private properties dispersed around Europe, never remaining in one place for very long. From one week to the next, nobody appears to know exactly where she is. According to one source, Sarah lives a sort of reclusive sofa surfing lifestyle, depending on those who still love her enough to provide discretion, security, and privacy. The implication that some of the individuals assisting her are previous romantic partners from decades past adds to the story's remarkable quality. Not formal royal contacts or business associates, allies, but it's said that guys from her past are taking over now that her life has grown more precarious. The assertion that Sarah has been using 3 different cell phones out of fear of being tracked is arguably the most bizarre detail of them. It depicts a person who feels trapped and extremely uneasy, regardless of whether that fear is warranted or just an indication of how nervous she has become. This is not the picture of a self-assured woman having a peaceful retirement. It is the continuous image of someone peering behind her. According to people close to her, she appears worn out and fatigued. According to one source, Sarah no longer looks as elegant or polished as she once did, even going so far as to call her dishevelled. According to accounts, she no longer pays particular attention to her appearance, allowing her hair to grow out, forgoing cosmetic procedures, and generally appearing less like the well-groomed public persona she spent years showcasing to the world. Although it sounds surface level in royal circles, prestige is frequently reflected in looks. Being well-groomed conveys confidence, wealth, and power. The contrary is implied by appearing worn out, neglected, or overburdened. And that shift speaks volumes to Sarah, whose reputation has always been associated with charm and presentation. Then there come the financial reports. One insider claims that Sarah has questioned in private how she will manage her finances during all of this. Someone else made a joke about how no one would be surprised if she began selling fashionable purses or vintage jewelry to make ends meet. Whether or not such tales are made up, they demonstrate how drastically the discourse surrounding her has changed. Even after the notorious scandals of the 1990s, when bankruptcy, tabloid photos, and royal disgrace appeared to follow her everywhere, Sarah was perceived for years as someone who had somehow survived. She continued. She seemed eager to sell introductions when she was apprehended in that infamous Cash for Access scandal in 2010. Many believed that would be the ultimate blow to her public image, according to Prince Andrew. However, she continued to find methods to re-enter the public eye after that. However, the reports don't seem to point to another return this time. They sound more like a person withdrawing from the outside world. And then there's Andrew. One of the most peculiar relationships in royal history existed between Sarah Ferguson and Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor for many years. Although they were divorced years ago, they never truly parted ways in the traditional sense. They raised their girls together, appeared in public together, lived together occasionally, and bragged about how close they were all the time. They were frequently referred to by Sarah as the world's happiest divorced couple. Their identity was shaped by that image. There was always the impression that Andrew and Sarah were still a team, regardless of what others thought of them. Insiders now assert that even that relationship has evolved. According to reports, they are no longer as close as they used to be. The sense of devotion and teamwork that formerly characterized them seems to have faded, even if they are still able to communicate. If accurate, that represents one of the most significant changes of all, as Andrew was typically there in Sarah's life, regardless of what transpired. He remained the guy she could go back to, the familiar face, the shared house. She appears more alone than ever since even that relationship is now strained. Many individuals think that Andrew's decline in popularity has had a significant influence on Sarah's life as well. Everyone in his immediate vicinity was clouded by his catastrophic 2019 television appearance, the ongoing consequences from his connections to Jeffrey Epstein, the loss of his royal duties, and the harm to his reputation. Even though Sarah wasn't directly to blame for any of that, she stayed close to him as the issue escalated. One report claims that Sarah now feels the royal family has abandoned her. According to reports, she feels entirely excluded and has no viable way out. Returning to the life of royalty. Insiders claim that after years of attempting to remain faithful and keep some ties to the organization, she feels abandoned. Who she has supposedly turned to for support is perhaps the most dramatic aspect of the narrative. According to accounts, Sarah is thought to have dated Count Gaddo della Gherardesca, an Italian aristocracy, in the years following her divorce from Andrew. One source claims that she has stayed at a large, castle-like property that is associated with him. Paddy McNally, the affluent businessman and racing executive she dated prior to her marriage to Andrew, is another guy associated with her. She may have remained at his Wiltshire property, according to reports, and since he also has houses in Switzerland and the south of France, there are lots of covert places where she could remain anonymous. When you pause and consider it, it is an amazing picture. A woman who once participated in royal rituals, stood on palace balconies, and maintained ties to the crown, is allegedly now dependent on wealthy friends and ex-boyfriends for financial support after decades. However, that also seems to fit Sarah Ferguson's persona quite well. She has always relied less on official royal support and more on charm, friendships, and interpersonal connections. People liked her, felt sorry for her, and wanted to help her, which is why she survived. It could be her personal loyalty network that keeps her afloat once more. Now the query is if it's something more long-term or just a brief period of hiding while the spotlight wanes. Is Sarah simply holding off on making another comeback till the news fades? Or is this the most obvious indication yet that she is no longer connected to the royal world? Sarah Ferguson has undergone numerous self-reinventions. Despite being written off numerous times, she managed to make a comeback. However, compared to the previous chapters, this one seems darker. It seems more isolated, less glamorous, less optimistic, and possibly, for the first time in years, it seems like even Sarah is unsure of what will happen next.